welcome. My favourite legion name is of Alyssa's Legion, and today we are talking about how to draw a city, and this particular episode is going to concentrate on temples. Now, temples, churches, basically those special religious locations that mean a lot to our city. How do we differentiate the top or the roof of a temple versus the roof of a shop? Today I will be able to show you. Now, there are several key rules here, and I'm going to use the Age of Antiquity map as a reference point. Now, let's just get a little bit of a red so I can show you. Here you can see that we have some fairly standard, if not large, buildings, and I want you to keep an eye on all of those. When we look more towards the center of the screen there, to where we clearly have some temples. What makes them temples? Well, there are about 4 golden rules, and if you apply them, and optionally I want to say between 3 and 4 of them each time, you will create a temple result. First, notice how the lines on the temples are perfectly straight and at 90 degrees to each other. I'm going to call that they are precise. They are engineered. All of them have that in common. While if you compare to those buildings inside the city, notice how they're a little less regular. Even the buildings that are kind of rectangular are a little bit more, slapdash in their lines. Now, when you zoom out, you don't really see like that crazy waviness. But the point is, those temples look more precisely made, and that implies it's subconscious. More wealth has been put into them. They are more special. So rule 1 is make them precise in their construction. The next thing you can do, and you will notice, is roof details. It can be simple like this, where it's a simple line at the top, which implies that we've got maybe a roof like this. It could be a little bit more elaborate, and maybe we have some roof decorations or statues standing on the top. It could be a combination of both. Compare them to here, where most of these buildings have no such details. And because of that, these feel more special. Anything that gives you a point in the special column subconsciously says this is a more special building. This has more wealth put into it. And if you put several of those buildings together, that area is clearly going to be more special to the people of the city. Third rule, you could decorate the outside of your temple. And by that, I mean steps and overhangs. Almost all of my temples have steps and overhangs. Almost all of them. There's some steps right there. There's an overhang or maybe just one step going up. So we've got roof details and we've got those steps and overhangs coming in. Then lastly, don't forget, we've got these decorations too. Maybe they're pillars, columns. Maybe they're statues. Also, gardens. But planned gardens, manicured gardens, not forests and things like that, unless of course we're going to be, some kind of just random scattering of trees. But we want them to feel like there has been purpose and planning, just even going up to that building. And if you think about ancient Rome or ancient Greece, and even just in ruin format, the temples that they created, not only were they large, that's one of the core things here, right? They could be small. But they had these steps that were big, they were grand, they had pillars, they had statues, and it was this exclamation to their gods and goddesses. And that's what you're doing here. Let's take a look at it in practice. I'm going to show you it coloured. Let's take a look at the Gaxmore map. Where are our temples on this map? Now this is fully coloured, so we have some extra clues, which I will get to when we do our colouring tutorials. Well, we've got some pretty precise buildings here. We have some pretty precise buildings with stairs going up. And so are these temples? Yeah, maybe. But these are also, we can see I've got gardens and the likes on the inside. Maybe they feel more villa-y because of the way I've done the roofs. But when we start coming over to this side and we actually start to get very uniform shapes, even right down to this majesty of these stairs coming up, and maybe we've got all of these columns at the top there. That, to me, S21 screams temple. Let's draw a couple of examples, and so you can see what I mean. So we've got a little bit of a test temple area right here. You can see that we've got our rules, our 4 rules in practice. I have varied the shape and the size of each of these, the roof details on each of them, and whether it's steps, no steps, overhang, even a courtyard. Let's do an example. Let's make this a slightly larger one. So, precise drawing. What was our next rule? Roof details. Well, let's actually say that we've got a little bit of a lip. Let's make this one kind of Parthenon-like. And maybe we'll do some little statues in the corners, standing on those. And then a beautiful roof here. A little bit of a roof shape. Just join them up. And maybe we'll go one step further here. Let's just erase that a little bit. Because this is a big temple, let's actually get a statue standing right here, maybe with a little spear. So get that extra little bit of detail on the front. And what was the next rule? Steps, right? So let's get a couple of steps out the front here. Nice. And then what else did we say? Well, columns. Columns denote this is special. And gardens. Now, why gardens? Well, I get asked occasionally, do you ever draw inspiration from real life or other sources? And the answer is absolutely yes. And this particular one came from Assassin's Creed Origins. And later on, honestly, Odyssey. Because while you're walking around their interpretation, their rebuilt virtual version of the ancient world, if you go to these temple locations, not only can you see the layout and designs, an outer wall, a temple at the back in a little courtyard area. That's where I got the inspiration for that type of thing right there. But you start to see gardens, manicured plant gardens, planters and things like that, and maybe water features. And, looking at us like, that makes sense. They're putting as much effort and money into the surrounding area. It needs to be manicured around the temple as the temple itself. And I loved that idea when I saw it, literally virtually, in game. I'm like, I'm going to do that. I think, for the temples where it's appropriate, I am going to add manicured gardens around them. And you can see over here, I actually did a quick colouring of one. and so that starts to feel like green and luscious, and there's clearly something in there. We could easily make these blue, or maybe the center ones are blue and the outside ones are green. And now we've got some water features as well. I mean, okay, we did that very quickly. Don't tell me that doesn't look like a little temple, right? Collectively, right there, started to feel like a collection of temples all on top of a hill, right? Very, very, very quickly, if we now grab our paving tool, and maybe I'll do that on this layer, we can sort of add some flagstones in here, like so. And maybe this is going to go over here, and we'll have a temple body down there, and we'll bring a temple down here, and maybe one over there. We'll see. This starts to feel like, okay, yeah, we got some temples on top of the hill right there. So hopefully this quick fire guide has been useful to you. If you enjoyed this and would like to see others, please smash that like and subscribe buttons down below. And if you would like to see or have questions about anything else that you would love to see me draw and how I approach it, let me know in the comments below. I promise you I will do a video on it. If you enjoyed this and my other videos and would like to see a written version of this, an accompaniment to it, but not exactly the same content, then check out my Patreon, because on there not only will you have the companion written guide for this, but I'm also releasing fully colored map components which you can put into your own maps and draw inspiration from. So with that said, thank you for watching. I really do appreciate it. I will see you all on the flip side. Have a good one, and happy mapping.